Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Okay, so this webinar is focused on Endpoint Central, and we are going to look at how Endpoint Central helps to tighten your endpoints and perform management on them. So I will be um, explaining some features of Endpoint Central, and towards the end of this webinar, I would also give a demo on some of the features and capabilities of Endpoint Central. Okay, all right. So one thing that Endpoint Central aims to do is to empower your employees by empowering your IT team. Okay, so in an organization with lots of every organization relies on their technical infrastructure these days, which is their network and their endpoints, their firewalls, and there's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of resource invested into that infrastructure. And one of the things that often sometimes is overlooked are the endpoints, because no matter the firewall you have, no matter the network security that you have, and the complex configurations that have been made, one endpoint that is not secure can bring that whole infrastructure down. So Endpoint Central seeks to secure all those endpoints. Now, what do we classify as endpoints? We classify endpoints as what the end users use. So that endpoint can be a PC, it can be a laptop, it can be a phone or a tablet. So Endpoint Central actually helps to manage and keep your enterprise safe by keeping your endpoint safe. So one of the difficulties when managing endpoints is a single point of view for all the endpoints. So assuming this enterprise, your enterprise or your company has some work from home functionalities or capabilities, and users are required to come in on certain days, there's no oversight, or it's difficult to have oversight on all the endpoints, the current state of the endpoints, how the users are using or misusing them, and their state, their security state, whether they are patched or not, whether they have malware installed on them or not. So Endpoint Central, actually, what we do is we provide a single source of truth for your endpoint management and your security. Okay, so who do we seek to help? Who is Endpoint Central for? Who benefits from Endpoint Central? Okay, so the first group that are helped are ITDM, CISOs, and managers to make informed decisions, okay, by providing them with insightful database and dashboards. Okay, so all managers, all CISOs are helped by the dashboard. So all the data that is collated from the endpoints is not just given to you as data or in spreadsheets for you to make meaning of, but you have interactive dashboards, you have a database to look through, and it helps managers to make informed decisions. Okay. Beautiful. So the next group that are helped are actually the end users. Okay. So the end users have their endpoints kept in an optimal state for work, such that anytime they need to work, whether in the office or whether away from the office, their endpoint is ready. So as a manager, which I will demonstrate later in this, or as an IT administrator, you can actually view the state of that endpoint. You can You can see if view the resources such as the RAM, such as the storage, see how much is being used. You can view applications which are going rogue. And so it helps the end users by keeping their endpoints in a state, an optimal state for work. Okay. The third thing that it helps to create an IT asset visibility for IT admins. So your endpoints are also assets, okay? And you need, at each point in time, you need to know the state of your assets. So Endpoint Central helps the IT admins to do that, okay? And it's also a platform for IT ops and sec ops to coordinate, okay? So both the security and the IT team are able to coordinate on this platform, okay? This platform to provide a wonderful experience for the whole enterprise. Okay. So this is a quote from the Vice President of ManageEngine. Endpoint Central is a ManageEngine tool. And he says that designing an employee experience that gives you control over security without compromising flexibility for users is the primary goal. Okay. By using autonomous endpoints that can look after themselves with self-healing capabilities, we are able to reduce friction for users. This also improves audits, reduces costs, and lowers security overhead. Okay, so one of the things that is a struggle between security teams and users is flexibility over security. So for an example, a lot of users find MFA or two-factor authentication too long a process. And it's like, why do I have to get a text message? It's too long. Can't I just enter the password and log in? And the security team is saying that no, that's not safe enough. So Endpoint Central actually, it's a nice compromise between both security and flexibility for the users. So the users are secure, but they don't feel that stress of the extra security burden. Okay, so Endpoint Central has these different modules or capabilities, okay, and I will demonstrate each of them or most of them. So there's device provisioning, there's application management, configuration management to push configurations or scripts to your device. There's asset intelligence, there's remote control, which is greatly used by a lot of companies that have Endpoint Central remote control. So there's no need to use remote desktop or download things like AnyDesk, which can be insecure. But from the remote control, you ensure that only the IT admins have access to remote control into an end user's laptop to do some troubleshooting or to take some information as and when needed. Okay, so there's continuous vulnerability assessment, which is very important. Automated update management to push your patches. So in large companies where you would want to stagger the patch deployment into different weeks, different schedules to not so as to not burden your bandwidth. There's also automated update and patch management there. We also have data loss prevention built in there to keep your data secure. Um, we have web protection, device compliance. So in case you want to check the compliance for your devices, Endpoint Central also does that. And very importantly, we have analytics and reporting. So I will demonstrate it later, but the analytics and reporting on Endpoint Central is actually quite superior to a lot of other platforms, and it provides out-of-the-box reports, it provides out-of-the-box dashboards and analytics, but it also has the opportunity or the function for you to create your own custom reports based on any criteria at all, any criteria you can think of, any filter, any sorting you can think of. Endpoint Central has the ability for you to create those reports, and it greatly helps in terms of that. Okay, beautiful. So Endpoint Central is supported on all these OSs. So you can onboard your Android devices, you can onboard your Apple devices, you can onboard your Chrome OS, Windows, and then yes, so Linux, every software, every OS is supported on Endpoint Central. Okay. So now let's take a few benefits of Endpoint Central. Okay. So the first thing that I would like to speak about is your security or your first line of defense. So we know that patching is usually the first line of defense. So when there's a vulnerability, quickly the application provider or the operating system manufacturers such as Windows, they provide patches every month and to patch up vulnerabilities before they can be taken care of. Now, hackers and hackers are constantly looking out for vulnerability. So when a vulnerability is not patched on time, it can actually affect your system and can provide a backdoor to the hacker to enter your infrastructure. And one compromised endpoint compromises the whole infrastructure. Okay, so your first line of defense is always your patching. What's the current state of your patching? What's the current state of devices, of your endpoints? Are they patched? Are they not patched? How many are patched? What's the compliance? What's the percentage that are patched? Okay, so Endpoint Central actually provides patching for Windows, for Mac, for Linux OSs. Okay, and it supports over 850 third-party patching. So there are flexible workflows. There's automated workflows which you can automate patches based on a day, based on a group, based on a certain criteria you want to automate the patches. You can automate patches. You can automate workflows to such as to shut down or to restart after the patch has been done, or to patch at a particular time, or to provide the user the input on when to patch. And it has these flexible automated patches. It also has manual patches where you can push specific patches to a number of computers, all computers. Maybe a security patch has been released and that patches a very serious vulnerability. So you want to patch that immediately, you can push that particular patch to all the computers, all your endpoints immediately. Also importantly is the ability to test and approve patches before deploying them. So you can test patches so that when there's an issue like what happened with the CrowdStrike, where a patch has been deployed without being tested and everything is being shut down, that won't affect your enterprise. Patches are tested properly and deployed after they have been tested. Yeah. So that's what Endpoint Central does. It ramps up your first line of defense. Okay. So the next thing is you can't fix what you cannot see. You can't fix what you cannot see. So Endpoint Central provides a 360 granular view of IT assets in your enterprise. So every asset will be in your inventory and you can have a view on it. So you can see the state of the assets. You can analyze and track software usage. You can manage licenses, which is great. So you have visibility on everything. You have visibility on every asset. You have visibility on everything. You can secure it by preventing unauthorized or unapproved installations on certain endpoints. So one of the things that users like to do or end users like to do is to install unapproved software. Maybe any desk is installed or something that gives a free pathway to a hacker into your environment to install something or to access your infrastructure. You can actually secure it. So you can tell, and also based on this, you can tell the security level of the endpoint. You can tell how many have unapproved software. You can mark different software that, okay, I don't want this software installed on any endpoint in my organization. So when you do that, from the 360 view, from the inventory or from the dashboard and the reports, you can see which computers have a particular software installed, and then you can uninstall them for your um you can uninstall them from That's dashboard. Okay. And we also have selective data wipe for lost, bring your own devices. So when in a situation where users are allowed to bring their devices to the office, and those devices can usually contain sensitive company data. So in case the data is lost, you would want to wipe it so that that data doesn't fall into wrong hands. So you can also do selective wipes for bring your own devices. Okay. There's also GPS tracking for your endpoint. So you can tell where each endpoint is at each point in time. So in case a user is supposed to be working from a particular place, you can tell if the user is there or not. And you can limit the range to which you're, so not, it doesn't just give you the visibility, it helps you to limit the range that, okay, maybe if the endpoint is in this area, allow access. If it is not in this area, block it so that you limit the range to which your endpoints can move, which all helps with your security. Okay. Finally, you can also quarantine jailbroken. You can quarantine jailbroken and rooted devices. All right. The next thing which Endpoint Central is able to do is you can manage software and mobile applications. So a lot of times users may want a particular software, or there's a software that has to be installed on users. So instead of one of the things that Endpoint Central has is a self-service portal. So the self-service portal can help users to have a single portal to be able to download approved applications for themselves and not go and search for pirated ones, and which can pose a security threat to your organization. Okay, so you can create custom software packages with over 10,000 software templates. So there are predefined templates, which are Endpoint Central for different software, Microsoft software, browsers, Adobe, different software, WinRAR, but you can also create your own in case there's an in-house application that um, has been developed in-house and you want to deploy it, you can create a custom software package to have that application in your self-service portal to be able to have the users download it from there. Okay. You also set pre and post install configurations, okay, such as checking the availability of disk space, creating shortcuts, and uninstalling previous versions of the software in the package. You can do all that in the software package. And you can deploy software and mobile apps in the self-service portal, which is what I spoke about earlier. So that helps the IT admin. It reduces your burden. And there's a saying that self-help is the best help. Okay. So the next thing you can also do is to distribute apps through Manage Play Store or App Store. Okay. So in the case of endpoints, which are mobile devices and tablets, you can distribute apps through Manage Play Store, App Store, and manage the updates for Windows, Apple, and Android devices. Okay. You can also customize the app updates as per your enterprise needs and deploy in-house application to which I mentioned earlier. And you can lock down devices to a specific group of apps for customized kiosk requirements. So in case you have um, a kiosk which different people have access to, you can lock down devices to a specific group of apps so that that cannot be compromised. Now, one of the things that is um, also needs to be considered is legacy or modern OS deployment. Okay, OS deployment. So one of the things that IT admins find themselves doing is deploying OSs. Okay, and different OEMs, different hardwares, and your Endpoint Central has the ability to upgrade your legacy OS to a modern OS with zero touch deployments. That the IT admin has nothing to do on that. And the OS is deployed. So from maybe Windows 10 to Windows 11, or from Windows 7 to Windows 10, like you have zero touch deployment. So you make the configurations beforehand in Endpoint Central, and then you're able to push the deployment to your endpoints. Okay. So it doesn't matter what OEM it is, whether it's Dell, whether it's HP, whether it's Asus, you can deploy the OS in the desired computer. You're also able to give your endpoints new OSs by the same user profile. So employees don't need to worry. It's not as if you are um, formatting the laptop to install the new OS, but they will have the same information, the same data, the same user profile on the laptop or on the device, on the endpoint. We also support both online and offline imaging modes to image a computer. And importantly, we can deploy OS operating systems to users which are not connected to your corporate network. So in case a user is working from home or working from a different location and it's not connected to the network, never mind. Endpoint Central will still take care of that, and you are able to deploy your operating system to that user's endpoint. Next, troubleshooting. Troubleshooting. So troubleshooting is a huge burden on IT admins. Okay. Every IT admin will know the struggle where you've been called, you have to work from your office, or maybe even have to drive a distance, and you get there, and the user assured you that the printer was on, and when you get there, the printer was off, and it's like you have to now you just wasted your time to turn on the printer. So troubleshooting anytime, anywhere with the help of remote control. Okay, so you can fix your endpoints effortlessly from your location. So if a user calls in and says that, hey, this application is not starting, or this application is not running, or my computer, I just don't know what's happening. Usually, you might not be able to get the best information from the user. So you just connect remotely to the user's endpoints. Before connecting, you have access to the information on the of the state of the user, such as the RAM installed and the RAM available, the storage installed and the storage available, the applications which are installed on it. You have all that information available, and then you can connect remotely and troubleshoot the problem with the user. Okay, so you can simplify knowledge transfers with recorded remote sessions. So when a session is recorded, when you have a session, you can record it and you can share it. And you can also establish quick communication via chat. So when you have a remote session, there's usually a small chat icon where you can chat with the user. You can also have voice and video calls in case that is needed for better troubleshooting or for more troubleshooting. Okay. We can also troubleshoot over 30 OEM rugged devices apart from Android devices. You can remotely view iOS devices. And like I mentioned earlier, you have instant access to diagnostics of your end users' endpoints without needing a remote session. So sometimes you don't even need to connect remotely to see what the problem is, but you have the diagnostics tool. You have access to your to the user's shell. You can run certain diagnostics if you have to, and without needing a remote session. Okay, so these are all benefits of Endpoint Central. Like I mentioned Endpoint earlier, Endpoint Central is a one-stop shop for all your endpoint management from security to flexibility. Beautiful. Next, so bring your own devices and corporate devices under one roof. Okay, manage endpoints the modern way. So, one of the hassles has been bring your own devices to incorporate, okay, because usually users will insist that, okay, this is my device, I do what I want, but for security purposes, everyone knows that they have to follow the company guidelines and the IT team's guidelines for security purposes. But with Endpoint Central, you can easily provision your devices in bulk using Autopilot, Apple Business Manager, or Zero Touch deployments. Okay, you can automate tasks such as installing certain software, and certain tasks that have to be done before the user is able to use their device on the company's infrastructure. You can automate them by deploying pre-configured templates into the endpoints. You have MAM policies for bring your own devices to work, and you also have conditional access. All right, beautiful. So every tag, crash, and delay is an early alarm, and DX helps you to hear it. Okay. So Endpoint Central collects all diagnostics on the endpoints. So you collect real-time telemetry on CPU, memory, disk, battery, GPU, application crashes, and more. You are also able to configure alerts with severity tagging to prioritize performance issues. You're able to diagnose root causes into contextual insights, into faulty app services or automations. Okay, so what this is basically saying is that Endpoint Central constantly collects all the telemetry data in real time, such as the memory, the disk, the battery, the GPU, and you are able to set alarms in case maybe CPU's usage crosses a certain threshold or an application has crashed. You're able to set alarms to notify you to take action before it escalates into something serious. Okay. You're also able to automate remediation using pre-built scripts, workflows, or no-code workflow builder to resolve issues at scale. All right. So I've already spoken about the patch management and how Endpoint Central is able to help you to manage your patches. But how about vulnerabilities? Okay, so there's also the vulnerability assessment and vulnerability manager in Endpoint Central. So in Endpoint Central, you can see which vulnerabilities you can track your vulnerabilities. Some people use other things to track their vulnerabilities, one software to track vulnerabilities, one software to manage patches. So from the software that is used to track vulnerabilities. They have an Excel or a list of vulnerabilities on certain computers. Then they go into another software to say that, okay, this vulnerability, what's the patch for this vulnerability? And then you push the patch for it. Then you go back to your vulnerability manager to check has the vulnerability been resolved. But with Endpoint Central, you can manage both vulnerabilities and patches under one roof. Okay, so you can prioritize remediation efforts by categorizing vulnerabilities using advanced CVSS asset scoring to identify critical threats. You prevent zero-day vulnerabilities by employing alternate fixes before patches are available. So a zero-day vulnerability is a vulnerability that has been discovered and a patch is not yet available. Now, zero-day vulnerabilities are quite serious because the vulnerability is known and it can easily be exploited. So before a patch has been released, you need to take measures. So once you see there's a vulnerability, you can see that, okay, a patch has not yet been released. Endpoint Central can suggest alternate measures for you to keep that vulnerability at bay before the patch is released and you patch up that vulnerability. All right. You can also achieve your CIS compliance by benchmarking your IT systems with over 75 different compliance. And you can also resolve security misconfigurations instantly. All right. Reduce the attack surface. Reduce the attack surface. So reduce the minutes of internal threats by application specific privilege access with endpoint privilege management. All right. So internal threats is a worry for many companies because internally your users have access and their biggest threats may come from the inside, like the Trojan horse. So when you provide privilege access with specific applications, you reduce the attack surface, you reduce how much the user or that internal threat is able to escalate his privilege for the surface. Maybe use the he can have privilege to one application, but not all applications. You gain complete control over your IT environment by blocking malicious applications and permitting trusted applications. So company-wide or in a particular department or to a particular group, you can block specific applications. Maybe the IT team is the only team that is required to have one application or two applications, but the other users or the other end users are not allowed to have that on their endpoints. You can allow that application for the IT team, but block it for every other user. So even if they try to install it, maybe they get hold of the administrator password some way, somehow, or you have an administrator who is trying to use the back door to install an application on an end user for whatever reason, the application is blocked from the top. And even if the administrator or the end user has the admin password, they won't be able to install that application because it has been blacklisted. Yes. A secure browser that an enterprise deserves. So you can also manage your enterprise browsers. Okay, there's a browser management which I will demonstrate shortly in the demo right after this. There's browser management, so you can manage your users' extensions. We all know extensions are a major source of malware, so you can manage which extensions your users use. You can prevent employees from meandering into untrusted websites and making unsafe downloads to affect your organization. And you can ensure compliance with browser security standards such as CIS and STIG. All right. All right. So data may be the new oil, but never let it leak. Okay. Data is very valuable, very, very valuable. And that's all hackers try to do. That's all hackers try to do. They try to get access to your data. They try to get access to emails, to email addresses, to IP addresses, to different data. So how do you make sure that your data doesn't leak? All right. So with the data loss protection of data loss prevention built into EndpointCentral, you can identify your sensitive data. So you scan to identify your critical enterprise data, and you can categorize them using predefined templates. So EndpointCentral already has templates built in them to categorize your data into different categories and prioritize, but you can also build custom templates to categorize them. All right. So that data can include source code, it can include images, more media, it can include emails. You have control about which data leaves your users' endpoints. Okay. You prevent data leakage from various data transfer mediums such as cloud storage, clipboards, peripheral devices, printers, to name a few. So nobody can print what they are not supposed to print. Nobody can upload what they are not supposed to upload. Nobody can transfer a certain document or a source code, a code file onto a pen drive to give to your competitors. Your data is secured. You prevent every data leakage, and you never compromise on employee productivity. So false positives is one of the things which EndpointCentral deals with very well. So you reduce the false positives to not compromise on employee productivity. All right. Protect enterprise data at rest. So there are two ways to protect data. You can protect data in transit and you can protect data at rest. Okay. So with BitLocker, with Windows BitLocker, it protects critical data, enterprise data from exposure or data theft. You can enable multi-factor authentication for computers by leveraging TPM, that is Trusted Platform Module. Safe recovery key retrieval options and periodic rotation of recovery keys enhances data protection. All right. And you can also encrypt enterprise data in Mac supported machines using File Vault. So EndpointCentral helps with Windows BitLocker and other like File Vault to protect your data at rest. Now, the next thing that we need to protect. So EndpointCentral deals with security, the total or the comprehensive security of your endpoint, okay, which is not just patching and security, not just patching and vulnerabilities, but also protecting your data, protecting your browser. It also protects your peripherals, okay? So you can fortify your peripheral devices. So in case maybe there's a pen drive or there's a flash drive or an external hard drive which has to be used to copy data, but apart from that, you don't want any other device into your computer. You can have a trusted device list that, okay, these five flash drives or these flash drives are trusted devices and can be used on any computer or any endpoint in the organization, but no other peripheral can be used. Okay, so you have a trusted device list for that. You can implement file tracing to track sensitive files. Okay, you can store a copy of the original files in a secured location whenever they are copied or whenever they are modified with peripheral devices so that you always have access to the original copies and you don't lose originals. And you can elevate end user productivity by leveraging temporary device access. Okay, so one of the things I mentioned earlier was the trade-off between security and flexibility. So a lot of organizations have totally blocked off pen drives for users, which is a bit frustrating for the users in case you want to copy something for someone or you want to print something or yeah, which would make the user more productive. It has been cut off, but with Endpoint Central, you don't need to completely block peripheral access or block all pen drives, but you can give access to specific peripherals to elevate the end user productivity. We also have an antivirus built in, our next gen antivirus, which is our next level approach for endpoint protection. So this antivirus makes use of AI for real-time behavior detection that ensures comprehensive malware defense. Okay, so it instantly quarantines and mitigates anomalies to ensure no downtime, and it has a patented tamper backup that recovers the endpoint to pre-malware state upon a single click. So what this helps with is your ransomware. It can help with your ransomware in case there's ransomware which has been installed on the endpoints. You can recover the endpoint to pre-malware with just a single click. So that configuration tool is available in Endpoint Central. Now, what are the other ways that we could help to make your IT environment efficient and your IT environment safe? We can get reports, intuitive reports. We can get intuitive reports on user logon, inventory details, patch, and more to gain in-depth visibility of your IT. So, like I mentioned earlier, there are predefined reports um, which we can get from Endpoint Central. We have a long list of predefined reports, which I'll show you, but you also have custom reports. So based on user logon, based on which user is logging into which workstation, you have all those reports to make informed decisions, okay? You can limit unwanted access to the powerful, yes, Endpoint Central is really powerful. So in case you have a number of technicians on your team, you can limit access to this powerful tool because with great power comes great responsibility. So with the role-based access control, RBAC, you can limit access to Endpoint Central. So you can grant somebody permission to make patch to roll patches or to push patches. You can grant somebody permission for remote control for um, troubleshooting. You can grant a technician access to a specific group of computers. So there are different roles which can be there are different roles which can be there are different roles which can be configured, and based on those roles, access is given to. And we also have over 50 templated configurations to automate mundane IT tasks. So we know that there are a lot of tasks which are repetitive and mundane and boring for the IT administrator. And we have templates to automate those tasks to help the IT administrator. So Endpoint Central also has seamless integration, okay, with other solutions such as ManageEngine Service Desk Plus and ManageEngine Analytics Plus and ManageEngine Asset Explorer. So those are tools from ManageEngine which elevate your experience with Endpoint Central by also has integrations with other solutions such as ServiceNow, Freshservice, and Zendesk. It's recognized by leading analysts such as Gartner, Forrester, and KuppingerCole. All right. So at Net2B here, we are more than a technology provider. So Net2B are distributors of ManageEngine, which implies distributors of Endpoint Central here in Mauritius. So we are more than a technology provider. We are a trusted partner in digital transformation. So as the exclusive distributor of ManageEngine solutions across Mauritius, UAE and Africa, our mission is to empower organizations with the right tools and the right expertise to thrive in an increasingly digital and security conscious world. With over 15 years of experience, we combine international solutions with local insights, offering consulting, implementation, training, and ongoing support. Okay, so we understand unique business challenges faced by organizations and by companies in this region, and we ensure that solutions like Endpoint Central are not just deployed, but we help you and we work with you to fully adapt it to meet your operational compliance and security needs. Our commitment is to work alongside our clients as they modernize their IT, strengthen security, and build resilience for the future. So we have implemented Endpoint Central across different companies here in Mauritius, across banks, across groups, and we have a lot of success stories for Endpoint Central, and it's one of the main solutions of ManageEngine, which is really trusted here in Mauritius for endpoint security. All right, so I'm going to give a brief demo on the capabilities of Endpoint Central as we end this webinar. So this is how the Endpoint Central interface looks like, the dashboard looks like. So from this dashboard, you have a nice balance between security and flexibility for your users. And I will go through some of the features and modules that are available in Endpoint Central, and you will see truly the power of Endpoint Central and how it can help your organization. Okay. Let's start with the inventory. So Endpoint Central can act as a Endpoint Central can act as a asset manager for your endpoints. Okay, so when you come to your inventory, just give me 1 minute, please. Okay, so when you come to your inventory, on the left side, you see that you have your computers, your hardware, your software, and you have different inventory reports. And I mentioned that you can prohibit software or block certain executables. Okay, you can also manage licenses and have software metering all here from Endpoint Central, which helps both the IT administrator and helps the users too. Okay, so you have your dashboards here, and you can see of the parts that you have different groups of they are categorized for you. So you have an overview here, which will help your managers and the IT teams to make informed decisions. You have different dashboards and different information available here, the software. You can also view specifically software details. So here, when you come, you have the list of software which are installed in your entire infrastructure. So you might go through and say, hey, who is using H3? Why is it installed? And from there, you can check which users have it installed by just clicking here, and you can see which users have that particular uh, software installed. You can also configure alerts for you can configure alerts for certain allowed software or certain software on installations for that. So that can be done. You can also view the hardware of your computer. So for example, if you have, let me find one. Okay. If you want to look at let's say maybe this particular hardware, you can just look and see which endpoints have this hardware installed or have this hardware in their endpoints. So you can group your endpoints by hardware, by software, or just by computers. And when you come to the computers over here, you have information on um, the telemetry data of the computers. So you can see which the usage of the computers, and I'll just show that to you in a minute when it loads. So let's take, for example, Geraldine. So from here, you can see the last time the user was logged on. You can see the currently logged on user, and you have an asset summary here. You can see the disk usage, how much disk has been used, and how much is available. You can see more to see the details of the OS installed, the device summary, and you have all that available. And you have more even up to the certificates, so security, such as the BitLocker, if BitLocker is enabled, antivirus installed, firewall, you have all that available. You have a USB audit to know which USBs have been um, used on this particular endpoint. So this is a very comprehensive solution to manage your endpoints just from a view of administration of the IT user. Okay. Now let's move into vulnerability assessment. So earlier I mentioned about vulnerability management. I also mentioned about patch management. Okay. So with Endpoint Central, you have the ability to do both. So with vulnerability assessment, you can see which vulnerabilities are currently available, which machines are vulnerable, and in case there's a patch, you can see if there's a patch for that particular vulnerability, or you can check and see if there's no patch, you can employ your own fix to fix that vulnerability. All right, beautiful. So under the threats and patches, you have threats. So the threats deals with your vulnerabilities. Okay. So So when you look at the CVS score for the vulnerability and the patch availability, so for example, for this first vulnerability for .NET Framework information disclosure, you can see there's a patch available and you can see how many systems are affected by this vulnerability. So if I open this, you would see the system that is affected by it. Okay, so you can see that this system is affected by this vulnerability, and you can see which, if there's a patch available. So for this vulnerability, there's a patch available, so you can find the patch and push the patch for it. And for these other vulnerabilities, there's no patch available. So based on the CVS score or the severity of the vulnerability, you can decide whether you wait for a patch to be available or you can take measures to secure your system and secure your network. So you have the vulnerability. You can also check for zero-day vulnerabilities and see which vulnerabilities have been discovered recently and are not yet, do not yet have patches available. Okay, so that's available. You can also see that you can see system misconfigurations. Now, a lot of vulnerabilities come from misconfigurations based on passwords policies. I was watching a documentary yesterday where a company decided to store all their passwords in plain text. And but before they stored the password in plain text, they converted all the passwords to lowercase. So no matter the complexity you put in the password with uppercase and lowercase, they converted it to lowercase. And as you can tell, that company was hacked and there was a huge breach later. So you can also view the misconfigurations from here to see what is misconfigured or what is not configured well. And basically, you can also see the severity of it. Okay. So, for example, antivirus not installed. So this deals with your vulnerabilities and deals with where you can be attacked on your endpoints. But when you come to patches, when you come to patches, so patches deals with patches which are available. So you can see which patches are missing on which computers. Okay, which patches are available, which patches are missing. We can um we can automate patch deployment. We can also push patch deployment manually. Like I mentioned, we have a test and approve feature where you can push patches to a particular test group, wait for a particular number of days before pushing them to every endpoint in your system. Okay. There's also compliance. So you have compliance and you can map and audit targets and you have a quarantine policy. So all this is available in Endpoint Central. Now I want to speak about the reports. So there are general reports on Endpoint Central. There's a report module somewhere here where you can see the report, which has a comprehensive list of reports, but just based on your patches and your system vulnerability, you have predefined reports here. So maybe a report with system health report, or a report with patch compliance, or a report with configuration, security configurations reports. You can also have executive reports here for the bosses. So you have like a CIS compliance report or an executive patch summary. You have all that here, which you can generate and send, or you can also schedule it to be sent maybe every week, every month, every few days to whoever it needs to be sent to. so that you don't receive emails or calls that, hey, where's my report? All right. So that deals with the threat and the patch management. Okay. With configurations, I will just briefly touch on this. With configurations, you have different configurations available and configuration templates available to be pushed. So you have configurations such as changing local admin account password. These are all templates which you can create. Disable control panel so that the users cannot access it. And these are all things that you can create and to assist the IT admin in their workflow. All right. Now let's talk about software deployment. I mentioned that EndpointCentral has the ability to push softwares to endpoints. You also can create a self-service portal for users to download softwares that are pushed there. So you can create a software package. You can create software packages and publish them here for the users to be able to download them, or you can install software manually per user or per computer and push them to the end users. So we have many templates available. We have over 10,000 templates available for software, such as, yeah, so many templates available. So if we can filter this by Windows, so these are the packages available for Windows. So you can create a package. These are predefined packages that ManageEngine creates or makes available. So you can create these packages to push to your end users, or you can also create your own package and upload. Of course, this is restricted mode. You can create your own package and upload your own custom built software there. There's also OS deployment where you're able to deploy your operating systems and update your operating systems from legacy operating systems to modern operating systems. All right, so yeah, like I mentioned, you have online and offline imaging. You can back up the user profile um, so that after the upgrade or the OS is deployed, the user still has the same profile. You have different templates and have zero task deployment, which I mentioned earlier. So you can create a zero touch deployment or zero touch task so that you don't, the administrator doesn't have to do anything and the deployment once pushed just goes through. Okay, so all these are features of the OS deployment. You have mobile device management, which deals with your tablets, it deals with your smartphones, it deals with your mobile devices. Okay, so Endpoint Central has the ability to manage your mobile devices right here under mobile device management. So you can see the enrolled users. You can have reports based on that. And yeah, so iOS, Android, Windows, mobile devices, you have all that. And there's also a live audit log feed, which gives you what is being done with the mobile devices. Let's look at browser control. So you can manage your browser policies, download filter, browser customization, browser lockdown, web filter. You have all this available to manage your browsers to ensure the security of your endpoints and your infrastructure, that users don't download anything which would jeopardize that. So your browsers can be managed here. You also have your um, or is it device control? Yes, that you can use to manage your peripherals, which I spoke about earlier. All right. So Endpoint Central is a really comprehensive, really powerful tool. It's being used by banks in Mauritius, it's being used by large construction groups, it's being used by management groups, and everybody is scrambling to get Endpoint Central because of not only the security, but also the flexibility it affords to the users without compromising on security. Okay. So the final thing I will talk about as we come to an end of this webinar is the reports. So there is the ability to schedule reports. You can schedule reports to whoever needs a report and schedule it either daily, weekly, monthly, based on your requirements. You have user logon reports and all these predefined reports over here, configuration reports, threats and patches reports. You have device control reports. These are all predefined reports, exemptions, device audit, block device, and you have all that. You have domain reports, GPO reports, a really comprehensive list of reports. So I believe that almost every report that will be needed has already been created and has already been predefined. But you also have the wonderful ability to create a custom report based on any criteria or any filter that you like. So I will just show you that as an example as we come to an end. Okay, so you can create reports to have any columns based on computer name, fully qualified domain name, the boot up state, the owner email, the scan status, all these are available for you to put in the report. Password is changeable, password expires. All these are available based on the shares, the share name, the share path, the Windows firewall, firewall name, last access time. So you have all these available for you. And the beauty of it is in the criteria. So the report can be based on the computer or on the hardware or on the software. So on the hardware, which I demonstrated earlier, based on the hardware in the computer, or on the software. So all of these, based on these three, you have the criteria available. And then you can filter based on many different things. So you can filter based on the software name, based on the last logon user. So maybe you want to know the last patch scan time, the last successful patch scan. You can have reports based on all that. And it's very flexible. You can stack up the conditions. So you can use either an and an or for conditions, and you can stack them up and stack up many criteria to get your determined reports, and you can build your own reports based on whatever criteria or whatever telemetry data is available on Endpoint Central. So I would like to, this brings us to an end of our webinar. And I would like to thank you all for joining. You can contact us, Nettobe. You can contact Nettobe for um, a personalized demo. You can contact us for a proof of concept. You can contact us if you have any questions, any clarifications that are needed. And Net2B is here to help you. And we are here to make sure that Endpoint Central is configured and you get the best of it. All right. You can tell us about your organization and what you want to achieve. And like we said, our mission is to empower your organization with the tools and the expertise to thrive and to um, thrive. All right. So thank you for joining us. Please be sure to drop us an email. Be sure to contact us, and we will be there to assist you. All right. Thank you.